the director of a film that I've been talking to you about all week. It is available on the Shudder network, which is a great network. They have a lot of great movies up there. It is called Superhost. I enjoyed it very much, and Branden Christensen is with us now on the program. Branden, thank you so much for taking the time this week, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. Sorry about my voice. I've been doing a lot of press and everything, so it's a lot of talking.
Oh, man,
I can get this out.
I get it. You got to get out there. You're hustling a film. I understand that. Well, first and foremost, take me through that. You make a movie. I saw some of the pictures on Instagram. It's not like, you know, you guys had a Fast and the Furious type of crew out there. I mean, you're out there doing a lot of work, and then now, you know, it's been picked up. It's on Shudder. People are checking it out, but it's also constantly going out there and doing the salesman part of all of this. I mean, the process just seems like it's never ending at this point.
Yeah, I mean, especially because I actually edited the film and I did the VFX and colored the film. So it's definitely something that I haven't really had a break from yet. You know, we shot back in October during the pandemic. So, yeah, it's just sort of been the last 11 and a half, 12 months of my life has just been pretty much devoted to this film, which is great. And I love it. It's just, you know, I am looking forward to just sort of taking a break and saying, okay, yeah, let's think about the next one.
Yeah, I totally get that. But this one, it's really good. I enjoyed it very much. And it's very interesting, man. Like, found footage, I thought for a while there, after Paranormal Activity, I was like, because I like those movies, and I like Blair Witch Project and Cloverfield and kind of the bones of it. I was like, maybe this doesn't have the staying power, and I was wrong about that. I think everybody was wrong about that, and this is a really good movie, and maybe it would have been different if it was a big budget and there was lots, you know, of special effects or whatever, but I love the look of it. I love the feel of it. It seemed very real to me, even though there were some fantastical parts. What is it like working in that genre when there seems to be, you know, so many movies that kind of take that, you know, they try to use that as a way to get their message forth. It's always impressive when you can kind of do something different when there's so many people doing found footage right now.
I mean, it's just sort of about the idea, you know, like, there's found footage has been such a big part of the horror landscape for quite a while. But yeah, it's just kind of figuring out who these characters are and figuring out, you know, what that central idea is, and just sort of allowing the characters to have a realistic experience inside of that idea. So when I came up with the character of Rebecca, you know, it just sort of the central idea of an Airbnb host that is not who they claim they are was sort of, you know, the big interesting thing for me. And it was, how can I use that idea and tell it in a way with characters that the audience can empathize with? And it just sort of led me down this path of, you know, of looking into the YouTube subculture of, you know, exploiting people and doing things like that.
It's so funny, man, because like when I first watched the trailer and I saw Claire and I saw Teddy, I don't like vloggers. I find all of it kind of, it's in poor taste a lot of times. I'm like, boy, it's gonna be difficult. It's gonna be difficult to root for these two. But I thought you did an excellent job of, like, you know, kind of taking us through who they were as people as opposed to who they are when they're doing this vlog, and then the consternation between the two over where they want it to go and where they view themselves. It's just really well done, kind of fleshing those two out. So by the end of it, when you're having, you know, this culmination of all of the activities, you really do care what happens about them, where at first I thought they probably would be very unsympathetic. That was really well done.
Well, yeah, that was definitely the hardest part of the script, was just, you know, you've got this heightened reality that you're showing when you're vlogging. And then all of a sudden you have to turn the cameras off and you have to show their other side. And they can't be too similar to that side, or else there's no real contrast between their performances. And, you know, I think the whole idea gets muddled. So you have to take them to a much lower position, and they have to have these different problems and stuff like that. And so, I mean, you're right. People don't generally like vloggers like this. So we had to make sure that even if you don't like them, you still have to empathize with their situation. And I think just having, you know, losing the ability to take care of yourselves, you know, with Teddy's parents kind of having to float them right now, I think that's a pretty realistic fear for people. So even if they don't like them, they can at least sort of put themselves in their shoes.
I could understand where, as someone that does this, and I've worked in radio, worked in different places. I could understand where the character Claire was coming from, and a lot of points in this movie. But I just feel that Teddy got such a raw deal. He just seemed like such a nice person, and he's trying to, he's trying to propose marriage, and he's, genuinely seems like he's got a, enjoying what they're doing, and he enjoys being with her. So it's weird to see like his character arc, because he seems to be so differently motivated from his partner that is all about the business, and that really does play into, the climax at the end as well. He got a raw deal.
Yeah, I mean, I do think that they have a longer history than that. We're getting, a look into, I don't think it's like they've been together for a few episodes and now he's proposing. I think that there was probably a time of where they were a really good couple. And I think that they probably had a melting down point when they did the video series about the woman from Draper. I don't think I can swear, so I won't say it.
No, go for it. Say whatever you want.
Okay. The bitch from Draper, they did that video series. They became really popular. And then I think they probably got lulled into a sense of security that they were going to be just big now because they made that one video. But I think what happens in online culture is you have to keep working and keep pushing harder and pushing the envelope to keep, to maintain that status. So I think that when they kind of, they started dropping viewers, their next video series probably had less and less. She got really stressed by it, but Teddy was, he just loves doing the stuff with her. So yes, he got a raw deal, but I think that, I don't think it's always been this dynamic with their relationship. I think it's something fairly new.
Have you seen Jacob's Wife yet?
I have, yeah.
Yeah, it's funny, but You're Next is one of my favorite horror movies, and whenever Barbara Crampton shows up in something, I don't know, it's like a credibility switch when you're in this genre, and I think most people are familiar with her IMDb. When you only have, 4 characters in a movie, pretty much, spoiler alert, like
right.
and she's one of them, you're like, oh, it immediately, as a fan of the genre, you take note of it, and she's really good in this movie. What was that process like, bringing her in and kind of figuring out that it's a very interesting role for her, by the way, and it's very impactful. There's a very impactful moment that happens with her that you're not expecting. What was that whole process like for you?
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of one of those things that when you have a small cast, if you have an opportunity to put someone that, is just sort of instantly recognizable, I think that's really important. So I had the opportunity to just email with her a little bit after I finished the film Z, because she had some projects that she wanted to see I was interested in. And ultimately nothing really happened there. But when I had my script for Superhost, I just, kind of shot in the dark, sent it over to her, and she pretty quickly read it and just said, yes, let's do it. I love it. So she came on board fairly early, and it was just kind of like, okay, awesome. Like, we have this, genre icon that we can kind of lean on. And she's just, it's just nice to have that kind of well-known face in your film. And so, we had her for 2 days. And she was as awesome as you would ever expect. She just full of positivity. The funny thing is that second scene when she's in the forest, it's just you never know how you want to approach an actor of that, of that caliber, of that, that long body of work that they've done so much. You don't know how, you're kind of a little wary about being like, hey, I need you to lay down in the dirt and I need you to get dirty and stuff like that. But she was just like, she saw my hesitancy and she was just like, give me the blood, blah, and just throws it all over. And she was just 100% down to just do whatever. And it was just really striking, because I was like, wow, this is a person that, can do kind of whatever they want. And she's just like down to get dirty with us, and enthusiastically so. So I just, like, my first film, I had Michael Ironside in it, and I'm like, there's no way I could have had him lay down on the ground and, do all this stuff just because, I just don't think that, I mean, even a lot of actors just don't want to do that. So it was just hilarious to see how down she was for the genre.
Also, I'm a big Michael Ironside fan, but I just saw him in Nobody. I think he's about 300 pounds at this point, so he might have had some physical difficulties doing that. God bless him. He's enjoying his life. It is at the Branden C85 on Twitter. Follow Branden there, and the Branden Christensen on Instagram. Superhost is available on Shudder. I saw, it's funny, I didn't think of it at the time, but I saw your Twitter where someone pointed out Creep is a really good movie, and I'm a fan of Mark Duplass, and then someone said, wouldn't it be funny if there was some sort of cinematic universe where these films were connected? And you seem, I mean, is that you know, you want to be your own person, but that's a really good movie that's also found footage. It's also creepy. It also has someone that you're not sure is they're just mentally not all that stable, or they are a murdering, marauding. Do you like hearing those comparisons to your project after it takes place?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's incredible because I mean, we're a tiny film, and you know, Creep was definitely instrumental in creating the character of Rebecca, because I just loved the idea of Joseph in that film being this complete psychopath, but you can't take your eyes off him. You can't stop. You know, he's so watchable. He's so endearing. So, you know, that was definitely a big, you know, part of the reason that this film was made, because I wanted to, you know, attempt a character like that. And so, I mean, just to be put into the same conversation is, you know, it's kind of an honor, because you're you know, that's a huge movie. It's hugely popular and stuff like that. So if this film is connecting to people on a similar level, probably a lot less, but it's hugely humbling, just because it's like, you know, you just feel like you did something that sort of penetrated into that world a little bit.
I don't want to be over dramatic, but there's like when you're watching, I don't know, Jim Carrey be Ace Ventura, or you're watching Daniel Day-Lewis be Daniel Plainview, you literally can just throw a camera on their face and it can be a whole scene. Like, their face is, you don't have to do anything else. It's like, you know, it's its own entity. And Gracie Gillam is Rebecca. You did that a couple of times in this movie where you're like, Jesus Christ, there's a lot of tension here, and we have a camera on her face, and that's all that's happening. Just a tremendous performance, and people are lauding her and putting that character in with, you know, quite the pantheon of horror movie entities thus far. Just talk a little bit about her performance in that character. Is that exactly how you saw it? How much of that was what you wrote? How much of that was her? Very unique and, you know, engaging performance.
I mean, I definitely wanted this Rebecca character to be like larger than life, and I wanted her to be just the absolute, you know, perfect presentation, but beyond the normal, you know. So it would be that kind of Stepford Wives. Something's off with this person. I can't quite put my finger on it. But what I think Gracie brought to it was just sort of a goofiness to the character, where, you know, it goes beyond just weird, and it goes to this weird, fascinating kind of goofball version of the character, where she does certain things earlier on in the film where you just kind of can't help but laugh. Like, she's just like a nerdy kind of like a dork, just like, you know, in out over her head. And I think that what that does is it disarms you from Teddy and Claire's perspective. So you don't ever assume like, okay, wow, this person, you know, this person's dangerous. I don't think you get that sense from them. And I don't think Teddy and Claire did. They just thought she was so bizarre, and it was just so fascinating for them to see her. So, yeah, I mean, it was great to have Gracie there, because she's got a lot of Disney experience where she's done that kind of super heightened, super smiley reality. And that was something I really wanted to tap into, because I think I always thought that was kind of what Rebecca was.
Also, I appreciate it as a viewer, because little bits of humor like that bleed off some of the tension. Like, if horror is locked in, like just rigorous for 90 minutes, you know, whatever it is, it can be a bit much, and it doesn't need to be full-blown horror comedy Shaun of the Dead, but it also, I thought it was worked in perfectly, where you're kind of, you know, by the end of it, you're ready for the intensity. It's a great movie, man. I'm glad you're proud of it. I'm glad people are checking it out. I watch a lot of horror, and I'm sure you've had a lot of people that watch a lot of horror tell you it's good, but it's good. And there's so many people trying to do what you did that it's, to stand out is a very difficult thing. Do you see more from this universe? Is it a project do you think you could revisit later? Like, there certainly seems to be, you left it open there at the end.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny, when I made this, I never really thought that it would be something that people would want more of. But, you know, I think there is a big desire for more Rebecca. You know, all I can say is that there is a lot of rings on that necklace. So it is, you know, it is possible that there's a lot more story to tell, for sure. It's just something that I'll have to sort of wait and see, because you never know how long that kind of, you know, rampant desire for more will last. Like, it could be a week and then people kind of forget about it and move on. That's kind of what, I mean, that's what the whole movie is about, is that content is, you know, you can have a hit and then all of a sudden you're kind of relegated to nothing. So, yeah, I mean, I loved writing for Rebecca. I loved, you know, working with Gracie on this. So it would be so much fun to go back and do more with her.
The last thing in the world I need is more Hobbs than Shaw, and that's what I'm getting. So hopefully there is a world where Rebecca can have some more stuff for her to do in front of a camera as well. Check it out. Superhost is on Shudder. You can follow Branden on Instagram at the Branden Christensen. Branden, thank you so much for the time, man. Love the movie. Really appreciate you coming on with us.
Awesome, man. Yeah, it's a lot of fun. Thanks for doing this.
Certainly was. Let's keep in touch. The great Branden Christensen, everybody, on the Chad Duke Show.